Welcome back to the Crazy Courage podcast. I have here another fantastic guest. And I'm going to say he's a special guest because we are all on the wheel. We are all running the rat race. But my friend Rick Salmeron here is here to tell us how we can get to the end and be happy at the end. So I wore a special shirt for him today because I plan to retire at some point. And I'm going to be wearing these kind of shirts when I'm probably cruising around the world and loving life because I listened to someone, smart guy like Rick, who gave me all the best advice. And I took his advice, I implemented it, and then I live happily ever after. So Rick, why don't you tell me a little bit about Salmeron Financial and how you help people live happily ever after?
The ultimate testimonial from you, Nick.
There you go.
Awesome. I'll just capture that in a capsule and hang on to it.
Wonderful.
I'm an independent financial advisor in Dallas, Texas. I have had my company open since 2001. I used to be not on my own for the decade of the 90s with another closely held firm that you wouldn't have heard about. And prior to that, I lived a life in corporate America here in the States. And corporate America just was not my gig at all. Thank goodness I learned that fast then later. And when I kind of wrapped that up and I determined, I scratched my chin and wondered, what can I do? I was independent at that time. I was single. I wasn't married, no kids, really unattached, really couldn't ask for a more freer definition of life. So it was really an opportunity. And you don't need to be in that state, although it helps, right? But you don't need to be in that state to take the leap, as they say, and become an entrepreneur and become your own business owner. That's what I did because it was an ideal time. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something on my own, be more in control of my destiny, but I didn't know what that was. I was flirting around with different ideas, just random thoughts. And it occurred to me as I looked inside myself just ever so briefly, I noticed this behavior that I had ever since I was a child. And this goes back to why I got into this business. This is where I landed on my conclusion of becoming a money guy, a money person, to help people, families, successful business owners, entrepreneurs make smarter decisions with their money. Whatever level you're at as a business owner, you're making income, you're making revenue, you're good at what you do, right? You're proud of what you do. You can generate money doing the product or service that you hold out to the marketplace. You're an ace at that, and you want to become better and better and better at that, right? That to me is like half of the picture. The other half is, what do I do with that afterwards? I make the money. There's plenty of wonderful stories at that front end of making great sums of income and revenue with a lot of catastrophic endings because that money was blown. That money was not used wisely. And
It's so easy to do.
I know that's what makes for headlines. That's what makes for stories and documentaries and
right
on, right? So I don't want my clients to be on American Greed. I don't want my clients to be on the catastrophic, right? And they're not. Because while they're busy, they've got that comfort knowing that their money is in the right places, at least based on their future, what's important to them, their goals, not somebody else's, but theirs. And that's where the expertise comes in. That's where Salmeron Financial comes in. Where does your money, where's it going? Where should it be? Place it in the proper buckets, in the proper areas, so that as you continue to become an amazing and incredible entrepreneur and business owner, looking for reaching the new heights, that new next mountaintop, whatever that is for you, that what you've earned so deservedly for is working powerfully for you while you lead that life, right? And when that happens, a really, really bright future can be painted. When you know you've got the confidence of someone helping you by your side, steering that ship while you're in the captain's seat. You've got a solid crew member, at least, with you, looking over your shoulder, making sure that everything is in good order and doing what it's supposed to. So in a very large nutshell, that's what my company is. That's Salmeron Financial. I'm not a big company. You're speaking to the company now. I have a very intimate approach, a very kind of TLC approach. I'm careful about the company or the business owners and people and individuals that I work with. I have that luxury. I've earned that luxury, and I want to give it all to my clients. I do have, yes, I call it spare seats in my theater for people to experience the show, so to speak. Where I'm careful about who I take on as new clients because my existing clientele is so near and dear to me. I do not want to dilute the quality of service and guidance that I give to them. Right.
So are there specific criteria if I wanted to join Salmeron Financial as a client?
You have to be nice.
That to be nice. Okay.
Yeah. You have to be, I've really not held out. You have to have a minimum income level or a minimum asset level.
Okay.
Although that helps, right? That helps me to determine whether or not there's a good long-term relationship future with the person, because that is
Right.
really what I am looking for. And I hope that a possible new client, if I want to take another one on, I'm hoping at least that possible new client is, as I said, nice, yet also looking for a long-term relationship. I do not act on a transactional relationship. Nothing wrong with transactional relationships. There's plenty of business owners, plenty of industries that survive, thrive, and need the transactional relationship. That's not me, though. That's not me. I want to see myself with the relationship I have with my clients as one of a very close friend, perhaps even a family member, someone I would enjoy having dinner with, someone I would enjoy spending weekend time with on the phone, talking about whatever, because that's the kind of service that I want to hold out to my clients that I work with.
And this is great. It's great to be at that point where you're not struggling to find clients. You're choosing the clients you want to work with. And of course, people need to have some sort of income, financial assets that you can manage. Otherwise, really you're just going to be twiddling your thumbs. But the relationship, it's long-term, right? So, and you're a long-term thinking guy. Like this is what you do. You're not thinking 2 weeks down the road. You're thinking years and years down the road of what you can do for these people. And at the same time, dealing with these people for that long journey, which is great. It makes sense that you would only want to work with people who are going to be a good fit with you. And you put it simply, but I think you put it very succinctly, is that you said you want people to be nice. And I'm going to take that to mean that is it people that are willing to cooperate with you, people who are willing to communicate. You can have a good back and forth dialogue for years to come, because if you send a message out to people, you need to know that they're going to be responsive to what you're saying. Otherwise, you might as well just be shouting in the wind, and that doesn't get anybody anywhere. So your services aren't being utilized to their full potential. Your clients aren't getting the benefit. So there's no point working with people like that.
That's
so
right.
I would get that when you say nice, I expect that embodies a lot of different qualities in terms of people in general that are forthcoming and willing to work with you. Eager, I understand you're saying they're the ship's captain, but at the same time, they need to be nice to their crew, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have a very distraught and unhappy employee or
Right.
crew member, that's not really good. It's not really the kind of relationship that you want to have, is it? So when it comes to certain things, I mean, that might be okay. That all they do is do this, say, menial task, and I don't need to be best friends. I understand that. Yet when it comes to something as very special asset, the money that we make, this is not, we're not talking about bananas at a grocery store. We're talking about something that's going to move our business forward, my personal assets, my net worth forward. And that kind of working relationship, you want someone who you look forward to and enjoy spending time with.
Right.
I mean, ponder the top 5, the top 10 people in your life that you enjoy spending time with. Who might that be? I don't know what your list might look like, Nick, or the person listening to this podcast. However, maybe it's, well, my good friend from college, or I have this great sports buddy that I spend time with, or my significant other, she's amazing or he's amazing. Just those special people in your life that you really look forward to spending an hour or two, or perhaps even a weekend or something like that, whatever the case may be. Imagine if that was the case with your financial advisor also. Not that there needs to be a special relationship. However, what if it was special? What if it was someone that you did enjoy and actually look forward to, anticipate with a good feeling, that phone call that's coming up, or when that person's name and phone number appears on your caller ID on your phone, you don't say move to voicemail, you say answer. You want to
Right?
answer because odds are that's going to be a good, worthwhile, fulfilling, engaging discussion one way or another. Just imagine if you had that kind of a relationship with this part of your life, how much better your life would be, right?
I mean, it makes sense to me because you're embedding yourselves into people's lives in a very
Yes.
personal way, like you said,
Uh-huh.
with money that they're making, which is very important to all our lives. It makes the world go round, so I've heard. And you need to have a good relationship, like you said. And you got to be honest. There has to be a trust there, and you become, by virtue of the relationship, more than just transactional. You become, we'll say, friends,
Yeah.
someone that, like you said, you want to pick up the phone when they call. You see the text, you're happy to see it.
Right, right.
Email, whatever.
You mentioned a very gold word, and that's trust. Of all the bricks of the foundation of a professional relationship in my industry, in my world, trust is the largest one. It's
Huge, right?
special. It's huge. By far, it's the largest one. I can have all the expertise in the world. I can know so much knowledge. I can have access to, great investments or what have you, all of these things. Yet none of that makes any difference at all if there's not any trust. It's as
Right.
simple as that.
So now, Rick, you did say, we're talking off air, and you said that you get the question a lot. What is the best thing to invest in? And you had an answer for that wasn't what people would expect.
Correct. Correct. Would you like to know what that is?
I would like to, yeah, pins and needles.
Many do ask me that question, and it usually comes as a surprise. It is not the XYZ fund or the ABC stock or the next Apple computer or whatever happens to be maybe on the horizon. If there was one item, if you had just one choice in your life to invest time and money in, it would be your self-esteem, your
My self-esteem.
self-estimate. Yes. How you view yourself, do you like yourself? Do you love yourself? Now, why would this matter at all? Why would this matter, having a stronger self-esteem, make any difference on how much money that I make, or how much larger my net worth could be, or how the trajectory of my personal net worth? Why would that make any difference at all?
Why does it make a
Well,
difference?
the answer is because I'm going to speak for myself. Every decision that I make, and hopefully this resonates with everyone listening, every decision that I make is based on my self-esteem. My self-esteem is an individual partner that is resting on my left shoulder, whispering silent nothings in my ear with every opportunity that comes to me, every decision that I make, every meal that I take, every exercise class or take or don't take, every money decision that I make or do not make. My self-esteem is the one that's driving that action. It's driving that decision. It is answering these very common questions, whether we realize it or not, that we all ask ourselves. Our subconscious is asking ourselves these questions. Am I good enough? Am I worthy enough for this? Am I someone who deserves, am I deserving whatever this decision that is being posed to me, or this opportunity? Just think of that as a business owner. When you have opportunities to work with a client that you feel like is, well, they're too big of a client for me, or that this person is a much higher level than my level, right? Does this sound familiar at all? How many
Yeah.
business owners have felt that way in the
Yeah.
past? It could have happened today. It may happen tomorrow. And the truth of the matter is when we were born, we deserve nothing short of a fantastic life. We deserve nothing but magnificence. So when your self-esteem is rocking, You make decisions that are all steered towards greatness. You care about your future. You care about what your life is going to look like tomorrow. You care about what your life is going to look like in 5 years and in 10 years and so on. And I'm saying this because of my own personal experience. If you would have asked me what is important 10 years ago, I wouldn't have said self-esteem. I would have gone like the normal has. But yet when I looked at the results of my life 10 years ago or 15 years ago, all of my life results were thanks to the decisions that I made 5 years prior to that, 10 years prior to that. My
So,
life results today, same thing.
okay, just two-part question. So how did you come to the realization that self-esteem was important? And how did you invest your time and money into fulfilling that prophecy?
It all began 7 years ago. I was dating a girlfriend at the time. We were dating for maybe, I don't know, a year or so, having a good time. At that time, I was divorced. I was not getting married again because I didn't want to get divorced again. That was just like a no, forget it. A girlfriend, sure, but wife, not going to happen. Later on in our relationship, she said, Rick, there's this 3-day weekend class that I took a while ago. It was really transformational. And I'm not meaning anything personally. However, I want to support your life because I really like you because we're dating you. So maybe you should check it out also and see what you think. And I looked at her and my mouth said, yes, I'll take it. My heart said, no, I don't want to take this. What do I need to change in my life? There's nothing wrong with me. My kids, still have 2 children at that time. My kids love me. I love them back. My business is not doing poorly. It's doing pretty well. And my health is okay. I've got nothing to complain about. So what's good?
Things are good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
This workshop that I took had this policy that if you paid the money, which I didn't like, but if you paid the money and attended all 3 days, if you concluded that you got no value out of the class, all you had to do is just tell them and they'll give you your money back. So my plot was to take the 3 days. I'll go home, tell my girlfriend, hey, I took the class. Thanks for the suggestion. I'll tell them I got nothing out of it. I'll give my money back and everyone's happy and healthy. So getting to the point at the end of the 3 days, I realized and recognized how I showed up in the world. I realized and recognized what my own personal self-esteem was, what level it was. And I realized that my life results, although they weren't bad, many people would like to have had my life
Sure.
then. It
Yep.
could have been a lot better, a lot better. And I then realized that it wasn't other people's fault. It was not other things' fault of my life results. It was my fault, my life results. So that girlfriend that told me about this class that I was dating with the mindset of I'm never getting married again, ever, 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 she's now my wife. And we are as happy as pigs in mud. I was denying myself. This may sound like a complete personal development episode, and it kind of is, but
Sure.
this can be applied in so many areas of your life. I was denying myself the happiness and joy and incredible life of having a lifetime partner, because at that time it was marriage's fault. It wasn't my fault.
Right.
So I was blaming the institution. I was blaming weddings, etc., not blaming myself. And that was completely warped thinking. So this all began 7 years ago when I took this class.
Wow.
I sent her a message. I wrote her a letter. That's when I changed my mind. I proposed. We got married, and here we are. And this has been a bucket, the self-esteem bucket, let's call it, that I've constantly focused on replenishing because it can go dry. But I'm always looking at how can I fill this up? How can I fill this up? And when that happens, as a business owner, you show up in the world in a different way. Your clients feel that, your customers feel that, and you watch your revenue grow, and then you're on to something.
So you said you took this 3-day course, but that kickstarted things clearly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you've had to maintain that will say enthusiasm, the drive to boost your self-esteem. So how do you do that? How do you maintain that on a daily basis, weekly, monthly?
For the same way as, to put it in a sports analogy, how you keep your golf swing okay and healthy, or how you keep your physical health okay and healthy. When it comes time to choosing between the apple and the Hershey bar, you choose the apple. You don't choose the Hershey bar.
Okay.
What does the doctor say? That keeps the doctor away. What you have to do? Eat the apple a day, not the Hershey bar, but the apple. So when you just say, in my case, when I discovered, wow, self-esteem, what did I just do to realize my self-esteem needs to be fertilized? I attended this class. Now I don't attend weekend classes every single weekend of my life. However, now I'm more self-aware. Now I know areas that I showed up that I really shouldn't. I noticed behaviors. I noticed actions that I took. I noticed actions that I avoided. Self-awareness is really the first step. It's huge. When you're able to have spotlights shown on you from different angles that you are not able to see on your own. All of us are walking around at life with blinders on, right? When we have an opportunity to take those blinders off and have spotlights shown in areas that are very aha-ing and very revealing, and sometimes it doesn't feel really good. But that's the direction that it takes for growth and for a better life. So constant, go to the gym, say, so to speak, from a self-esteem standpoint, working on yourself as a person. And when you work on yourself as a person, your entire world changes in a positive direction if you're working on yourself in a positive manner.
Wow. That's impressive. So now you did mention, it's quite clear that this helped you in your personal relationship. It got you over any misgivings you might have had about marriage.
Yeah.
How else did it help you, like in your professional life?
So in my professional life, it helped me, as I mentioned before, how I'm showing up. And it helped me professionally with the people that I hung around with.
Okay.
People may have heard of who you hang out with is who you become, right?
Yes.
Who are the 5 people that you spend most time with? If you're hanging around a circle of, say, 5 millionaires and you're the 6th person, guess what? If you're not there already, you'll be the 6th millionaire. If you want to be in a circle of, say, 5 decamillionaires and you're not there yet, guess what? You spend time there, you'll be the next decamillionaire. You'll be the next 9-figure. You'll be the next billionaire, whatever that is. If you're hanging around 5 deadheads or hanging around 5 the bums, you'll be the 6th bum. That's how it works. So energies feed off of themselves. If you want to change your energy, one way to look is to see where you're spending time. Who are the existing relationships that you have? What does your contact list look like on your phone? Who are you spending more time on the phone with than not? If that time spent is producing the results in your life that you love, then you're probably already onto something. If
Wow.
on the other hand, you find yourself, well, I'm a really good person. However, how come I have these credit card bills that just don't seem to want to go away? Maybe that's the kind of crowd that you're hanging out with also. Or maybe you're hanging around with a crowd that say that they will show up at, say, 9 o'clock in the morning for a meeting, yet they end up showing at 9:15, or perhaps even not showing up at all. And although those little things may not seem to be a big difference, they do add up. They do point you in the direction of where you're in and where you're headed. So it's very small elements of your life. I began to notice 7 years ago, what are all the elements of my life, both personally as well as professionally, that is creating, like I said, the results in my life. So professionally, I stepped up my game. I noticed where things I felt like were working. If the areas that I'm shooting for, I'm not there yet, what do I need to do? Who do I need to hang with? What do I need to be putting in between my 2 ears day in and day out? What am I doing in my car? What am I listening to? What am I reading? That helps elevate me to get to that next level. It's those kinds of things that people need to notice.
It just sounds like you're more conscious of everything that you're doing as opposed to letting life happen to you. You're taking the reins yourself.
We all create our own lives. And we can choose the other way. We can choose to have life create the life for ourselves. That is an option. I don't believe that's a successful option. I prefer to be the one being able to write what my next chapter will look like. Even it may not happen as fast as I want, at least to think is to create. And that's the first step in anything. The phone that I have in my hand, this was a thought first before it became a physical phone.
Right.
This system that you and I are talking about, was at first a thought, then it became a tangible thing. That goes with everything. So if I think about what my life will look like tomorrow, next week, next year, and in 10 years, that's the beginning. We may not know how to exactly get there, and that's okay. Yet when you look at your life today, when you look at your balance sheet today, when you look at your income that you make, when you look at your revenue that your business is producing, you'll look back and now you can see all the dots. Like Steve Jobs says, you can piece together all the dots and see how you got there. And it was all a series of planting seeds. Those seeds may have begun a decade ago or longer. Some germinate right away. Some take a long time to germinate. But all of them germinated in their spider web fashion to get us where we are here today, right now. And if we like what we see, great. If instead I'm missing out, I feel like I want something more, better, or different in my life, then that means we need to work on some different seeds today, moving forward to plant.
Of course, correct, right?
Yeah.
No one's journey is a straight line. It's all, up and down, zigzag. And once in a while, you have to say yes to a 3-day seminar and see what happens, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You never know.
Yeah.
You know where that'll lead you.
Exactly.
You might not even know you need it.
That's where self-esteem comes in. Self-esteem, just if there was such a thing as a self-esteem-o-meter, that we could just imagine that if we could stick that under our tongue, just like taking our own temperature, if we had a self-esteem-o-meter we could stick under our tongue that would produce a reading between 1 and 100. 1 being, my life sucks, to 100 being, this is amazing and I am Superman or Superwoman. Wouldn't you agree that the person with a self-esteem reading of an 84 is living a far better life than that person with a 36 reading, without a doubt? So there's really not such a thing as that we can just easily measure and read. However, we can kind of read it based on, like I said, the life results that we see. That's our score, so to speak.
I love it.
And all of us have a score. Not quite sure what that is, but I know for myself, I like my score.
You've increased whatever it was. It's higher now.
Big time. And if I ever hit 100 one day, there's a next 100 somewhere else.
Right.
There's a next 100 somewhere else. And I prefer to go for that than the other way around.
Yeah. You never stop on your personal growth, right?
No. It's
always got to be going on the upward trajectory.
Yeah. We either grow or we decay. There's nothing in between.
I agree. And okay, Rick, so how far back do I have to go to talk to you about when you started, let's say, thinking about going on your own and I guess thinking about money, being a money guy?
You would have to go back to when I was 8 years old.
8 years old.
Yeah.
All right.
Thinking about becoming a money guy happened after I left the corporate America. When I left corporate America, what do I want to do? There's an opportunity, do something that I'd love to do. So when I was pondering that, I remembered something that happened in Oklahoma City, the city that I was born and raised in. On a Saturday morning, I was enjoying breakfast at the kitchen table. My mother approaches me. She places her hand on my shoulder and she says, Rick, today is going to be a very special day for you. And I asked her, why, Mom? She said, today I'm going to take you to a place called a savings and loan. And we are going to open up a savings account for you. I didn't really understand what that meant. So I asked her, what does that mean? She replied, see, honey, if you let them keep your money there, they will pay you money for keeping your money. Once again, 8 years old. Okay, whatever. Didn't quite resonate yet. What was good for my mother was good enough for me. So I dropped my spoon in my Fruit Loops. We went to the car. We drove to the savings and loan. I proceeded to empty my pockets full of change, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks worth of, of allowance, just spinning on the counter, $10 worth of change. My mother matched that with another $10. I opened my first savings account with
Nice.
$20. Now, it wasn't, Nick, until 90 days later, I received my first statement in the mail, and that $20 grew to $20.15. I was amazed.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
All I have to do is just let the money sit there and I can carry on with my life and do nothing at all. I can't wait to put my next week allowance there. So I noticed this pattern as I left corporate America. I purchased my first stock at age 18. I bought my first house at age 22. I maxed out on my company's retirement plan day one at the corporate America job and figured out how to live off of what was the net after that. And I'm not saying these things to brag. This was just inherent automatic response in my DNA. And as a result, I had nice savings. I was building a very nice pyramid of wealth over these years that I am still growing to this day. And it occurred to me, gosh, this is easy for me. These are not secrets to me. I'll bet they're secrets to a lot of people, though. I'll bet there's a lot of people out there have no clue where to begin or no clue of whether they're making the right decisions for them or not. And that's when I began in the business. Worked for a company that you wouldn't have heard of in the decade of the 90s. I was done with that. I wanted to be completely on my own. And that's when I gave birth to Salmeron Financial in 2001. And ever since, I've been serving in this independent capacity and building a clientele that's pretty sizable. And I do manage a lot of money right now. But I do that because I love what I do. And I don't want to stop doing this. My exit plan is hopefully the day I die when I'm age 100. If
So
I
no
can,
rush.
if I can still be doing this in my 90s, I may not be attractive to many people because they may think that I'm not going to last another week, but I don't see myself retiring really anytime soon.
Wow. Fantastic. I mean, it's great that you love what you do. I mean, that goes a long way, right?
Yeah. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this. It's too valuable to me. The relationships that I've built, I've got clients I've worked with for 30 years, and I'm still gaining new clients selectively, like I said, and because I know if there's great potential for a long-term relationship, you can't place a price on that. Not in my eyes. You can't place a price. And sure, it's nice to make a really, really, really good living too at it, but the relationships are very, very valuable to me.
So it sounds like you've always been good with money. Is that fair to
Yeah,
say?
I think
I
that's
mean,
fair to say, yeah. Mhm.
okay. Now, your clients, when they come to you, are they ever like your 8-year-old self dumping a bunch of change on the counter and saying, Rick, I don't know what to do with this?
Some are avid savers, have been for a very long time, and some are not. I couldn't tell you what the mix is. However, all of them appreciate really solid, wise guidance that is genuine and authentic and looking out for their best interests and not someone else's. There are different income levels that I work with. There are different net worth levels that I come work with. Yet all of them appreciate and value that kind of long-term, high-quality relationship with someone that they really click with and that speaks their language. That was one of the mistakes that I made early in my career, was thinking that my value that I added to my clients' lives was being a walking, talking encyclopedia, being able to recite rules and laws and so on. But of course, that was pre-Google days and pre-internet days. I thought that was the value that I added because no one could look things up really quick, right?
Yeah.
But I learned shortly after that really the value is creating magnificent relationships, because that's where everything thrives with a great relationship.
Yeah,
And the more that
absolutely.
I can focus on that, the happier my clients are, the more joy that they feel, the more confident that they feel about their money because they're confident in the advisor that they're working with. And when you feel joy, you feel confidence, your self-esteem does boost also. It
Yeah,
does
of
boost.
course, right? That's part of it. It spurs you on to
It
keep
is.
doing more of that good stuff.
It is.
You want that endorphin hit.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Rick, I was looking at your website and I noticed one of the questions on there is that you pose kind of to yourself, or people would ask,
Mm-hmm.
am I getting unbiased advice? And I thought that was a really interesting question because one of the questions is, am I on track to retire? Which very common question. And of course you want to be able to answer that with
Sure.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
some graphs and numbers and, your
Mm-hmm.
needs and wants, but the unbiased advice, found that interesting because yeah, am I getting unbiased advice?
How do you know you're getting unbiased advice?
Right.
That can be an internal compass kind of thing, right? So what kind of vibe are you getting if you're working with an existing advisor? All right. What's the chemistry like? Do you feel like that advisor that you're working with, here's one test, if you want to call it. If you're working with an existing advisor, are they going at your speed limits? Are they going at your pace? If they're matching your pace, or at least if you feel like you've been listened to, that you feel like you've been heard, that you feel like you're being paid attention to with the kind of attention that you're seeking out, then odds are you're probably getting unbiased advice. On the other hand, if they're pulling me in at a pace that is hard for me to digest, if it's an area that's really hard for me to understand, that might be a warning sign that you may want to kind of pause or put the brakes on. If you're able to understand what your advisor is telling you to guide you down a certain path, and that's really what they're there for, is help shine a spotlight in areas that you're not able to see, right? You want to be able, though, to be able to consume that and soak that in so that it resonates with you, that you could even explain it to, say, your significant other or your child, or in a manner that's very easy to understand. Because if it becomes complicated, then you start to feel uneasy, unnerved. The confidence level drops. And that's when the guard gets up, and you don't want to have that kind of relationship. And to me, that would be kind of a warning sign that you're not getting the kind of unbiased advice that you really deserve. So it's really an intangible. And it may be that you need to compare. If you've been working with someone for a long time, that may have been a great relationship at the time. Yeah, kind of like the first automobile that you bought, say straight out of university, that car is not doing it for you today because you're far more advanced and you need a better car to carry on with your life. The same case can be made for an advisor. It could be a great first time advisor. However, your life is far more sophisticated, far more complex, yet the advisor is still staying where you first met him or her. And maybe there's a mismatch and you need to consider some changes.
Have you ever found that had a relationship with someone, a client, and then you just sort of drifted apart or started going different ways? You outgrew each other for
Yeah.
whatever reason, things
Yeah.
changed. That happens.
Yep. That's happened. It's not been common. It's been uncommon, but it has happened. And those are good, healthy choices to make. Not similar. However, sometimes, you date a person, you date a
Right.
boyfriend or girlfriend, and it was good at the time, yet it's not something that would be long lasting. And you don't want to hang on to something that's not going to be long lasting. It's better just to say thank you, but no thank you, or it was great. However, let me carry on and let me move on. Let me find somebody else because that's who I need. I need something else in my life right now, if not forever. So that can happen. That can happen. I'm not perfect at this by any means. However, fortunately, like I said, I have a lot of clients I've worked with for decades. That's really the ultimate, is to have a very long-term, happy, joyous, fulfilling relationship for both parties.
Now, all right, just touching on that. So you said you've been working with some clients for decades.
Yeah.
Do you think they would have noticed a difference in you from 7+ years ago to now when you did this journey of self-discovery?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'll have reviews with them, and we're talking about their money and their goals and any life changes and so on. There's lots of dynamics that always I need to be aware of to help guide them. Right. I don't live with them, but I need to be aware of certain things. And just by happenstance conversation, wow, Rick, I just want you to know, I just love your social media posts, right? I just love that the video. I love that you were on that other person's podcast. And what I learned from that was just very enlightening. And I'm just enjoying seeing you from this sidelines to see what's happening in your life, both professionally as well as personally. And that makes them feel even more proud to work with me. Because like I said, for your business owners listening to this show, entrepreneurs listening to this show, that if would I have ever done it, I'm not saying like podcasting is the key. However, if I would never have approached you, Nick, pre 2017, can I be on your podcast? Because I would have felt like I've got nothing to offer.
So
I'm not good enough to be on a podcast, let alone yours, Nick. That would be crazy. Your podcast is named the Crazy Podcast. That would have been a crazy thought, but it's not a crazy thought today. When you are a business owner and when you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to fertilize the relationships that you have with your existing clients, because say you're very referral based or you want your brand to be so powerful that you find yourself on people's top 10 lists one day. When you want that, you want to be showing up with energy that is such a flavorful flavor of honey. You're attracting amazing bees to you. And you do that by increasing your self-esteem. And when that happens, you become very referable. You become a source where your clients are coming back to you for more. There's not a second option. You don't need to worry about being on top of the stack because there is no stack. There's just one person. That is your name. That's really the ultimate situation that you want to be at as an entrepreneur, don't you? So when you work on yourself, you become your version 2.0, and just watch how your life changes in magnificent ways when that happens.
So profound. But I love it. And it sounds simple enough.
Simple, yes. Easy, no.
No.
We're not talking about, oh, I can just take a nap and eat pizza all day. No, the path to greater self-esteem-o-meter readings is not easy. It is challenging. You have to do things that are uncomfortable. You have to be able to do personal development. You have to be facing realities and truths about yourself and how you show up in the world that's not very comfortable.
Right.
Yet that's what you have to do to become a greater person, to become a better person. Everything that you want in your life is on the other side of fear. So I can choose to be comfortable, and that's okay if the result of that is what I want. But like I said, the doctor says an apple a day keeps me away. I want to choose the apple, not the Hershey bar. If I have a Hershey bar every single day, that makes me feel good at the moment, but it doesn't make me feel good the following day, let alone the following hour, and keep on doing it. It's not going to be good.
No, that instant gratification, but it doesn't do anything long term. It doesn't benefit you in any real way. And, it's going to be a lifetime on the hips as well, right? I hear.
It is.
Yeah. So, Rick, you told me you want to work forever, well, as long as you can, till you drop in your chair. Do you have any other projects coming down the line? Is there anything down the road that you see that you want to work on?
I've toyed with writing a book, although I'm not sure about that right now. That's something that my subconscious is saying, nah, don't do it. However, I think my subconscious, just like everyone else's subconscious, it's there to protect me from the unknown. It's there to keep me safe. It's there to keep me away from danger and protect me and keep me alive. And that's helped me. That our subconscious helps all of us, because it is that voice that says, don't cross that road if you see cars coming. That's our subconscious saying, stay put, stay on the sidelines, stay on the curb, don't walk that way. But that subconscious voice also says things like, don't write that book. It's not going to be worth it. It's too much trouble. It conjures up all the reasons not to do things, right? That's that again, because it wants to keep us safe. So big projects, that's probably a big project. However, I'm still battling my subconscious on that one. But for now, I am looking to become more visible than I ever have before. And maybe writing a book is one way to do that. However, I've done more speaking on stages than I ever have in my life. And I'm not a professional speaker by any means. However, last year I'm on a stage with 700 and 800 people. And that's nothing to compare to Tony Robbins. But it's great for me. I've never done that before.
Was that your first time doing that sort of thing?
Well, I did it about 3 times, I'd say, in the last 12 months, like on stage with a couple of hundred or several hundred people. And it really makes you feel like a rock star. If you've got a good message, whatever the message is, but it really makes you feel like a rock star. And now it probably wouldn't matter if there was 10,000 people versus 200 people. It was kind of the same vibe for me, regardless of the size of but to be able to feel so good about yourself that you had the courage to be on stage, to speak and deliver a message like I'm doing now. I have no idea how many people will listen to this episode, but this is part of my legacy as I see it. It's appearing on podcasts. Podcasts seem to be forever. I don't think that this episode is going to go anywhere, away. It's not going to disappear and vanish. So this is my way of continuing to spread my message, right?
And so what made you want to be a public speaker or speak on stage?
To boost my self-esteem. That's why.
So just personal growth type of thing.
Personal growth. And that sounds selfish, yet it's really not. Because when I am working on myself, yes, I benefit from that. However, who else benefits from that? My clients benefit from that. My business benefits from that. My wife benefits from that. My children benefit from that. My neighbors benefit from that. My city benefits from that. The people that are listening to this episode, I hope, benefit from that. So when I do things that are uncomfortable and make me feel awkward, yet I feel like I'm valuable, if I feel so good about myself that I feel like I'm valuable and I've got something that is valuable for people to listen to, I am going to go ahead and feel scared and just go ahead and do it anyway. And I'm going to be on the stage, whether it's on a Riverside format as I am now on the stage, or if it's on a physical stage somewhere with an audience, or on a television news report or whatever. But I'm doing this to boost my self-esteem so I can be a better person, so I can grow my business, grow my life, and grow, and not decay.
That's such a big thing. And it's like you just said about living outside your comfort zone, right? Like this is exactly it. You decided I need to grow. I'm going to live outside my comfort zone. I'm going to go speak on a stage. I'm going to speak in front of whatever crowd there is. Like you said, doesn't matter. Small crowd, 10,000 people. It's all the same. The message is being imparted.
Yes.
Is the message that you're carrying with you when you're public speaking, is that about self-esteem? Is that what you...
Sometimes it is. On the podcast, it's more self-esteem. When it's on stage, or if I'm talking about money, the message is this, that the path, this is my view. There are many paths to take to achieve, say, financial independence and a personal net worth that even Warren Buffett himself would be jealous of, whatever your goal is on a personal net worth point. Has very little to do with investment selection. This also may sound like a surprise. Very little to do that, and a lot to do with your behavior. The actions that you take or do not take with your money add up to what your net worth statement looks like, what your balance sheet looks like, what your income level and your revenue looks like. It's the behavior that drives everything. You can have the best, quote unquote, best investments in the world. That does you nothing any good if your behavior is off. That's the message that I share on a money stage.
I mean, that makes sense. Again, it sounds simple enough, but it's
not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And as an advisor, I spend way more time helping take care of my clients' behavior and their emotions and not the investment select. The investment selection part is easy. The hard part is the human emotion element. keeping that at bay, both in really bad times and also in really great times, because fear drives a lot of really bad decisions, and greed also drives a lot of really bad decisions.
Right?
We need to keep those emotions out of our money. And it's easier to do that when you've got a neutral party, AKA an experienced, seasoned advisor,
Yeah.
helping
Yeah.
you out with that part of your life. So you can carry on and grow your business in the ways that are right for you, so that your money, while you're doing that, is doing its thing, headed in your direction.
And that's where it's important for that trust, right? Because they have to
Yes.
trust you. They have to trust the process. They have to
Yes.
commit and be able to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have those emotion-driven choices that are not usually good choices.
Yes, gosh, that really makes sense. Just having that guider, that advisor, that guide next to you, gosh, that really would help my life. But who do you trust? That's the largest brick in the entire foundation of their relationship.
Perfect sense. Perfect sense, Rick. And I've enjoyed talking to you. I'm not gonna lie, I learned a lot more this evening than I thought I would in terms of the topics we spoke about. I didn't think we'd go in that direction at all, but that's what makes it so fantastic to have this just this format of the podcast where we just go down the rabbit hole and see where it takes us. I love it.
Sure.
It's always so much fun.
Agree.
Yeah, I always get so much out of it when I speak to people like you that have such a great point of view on life and personal growth and entrepreneurship. It's always learning, and I love that. So this is my personal growth journey. Is that I get a lot of this podcast myself. So maybe it's a little selfish. I am trying to help other people get their stories out and get their message, but I love hearing a good story, and I love the knowledge that's imparted, and I'm glad I get a front row seat to all of it.
Yeah,
It's pretty fantastic.
it is. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for sitting down with me and taking the time to impart all your knowledge and your wisdom. And I hope that you can keep doing that on the stage in whatever forum that you find, because I think that your message is pretty important and a lot of people need to hear it.
I appreciate the opportunity, Nick. It's been great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rick. We'll talk to you soon.